Midnight and the Midnight pre-patch are quickly approaching, so I wanted to run through everything that will be going away, getting harder, and things that you should be doing before the pre-patch and before Midnight release as well. So first up, we're going to talk about stuff to do before the pre-patch, and the first of those is Legion Remix. You've got less than 2 weeks now for Legion Remix. The pre-patch comes out on the 20th or the 21st of January, depending on where in the world you are, and Legion Remix gives you a ton of unique rewards and a chance to get some of the harder Legion rewards as well. Right now, I'll have a list of the stuff that's exclusive to Remix. So that's going to be stuff like the Sagari sets, the different zone rewards like the Ajara Transmog. You're going to have another chance at the Violet Spellwing. There's going to be those unique Scythe appearances and the ability to buy the Scythe appearance along with other things like the Xavier shoulders. So there's a lot of stuff to pick up, a bunch of unique rewards. So if you haven't done that, you are running out of time. But you do still have chance. Not to get all of it at this point, there's some stuff that you just won't be able to do. But if you're willing to put in the work, you can grind out enough bronze to be able to purchase the majority of the unique stuff. And then if you do have bronze to spare, it might be worth picking up things like the Living Infernal Core, which is kind of rough to get the drop chance for. The Torn Invitation, that's kind of nice because you can completely skip the mission table requirements when you get this on Remix. Or you could pick up the Paragon mounts, things like this, you know, things that are just going to be quite difficult to get on retail. You could look to pick these up on Remix if you have that bronze spare. And in that regard as well, you should be preparing to say goodbye to your Remix characters as they get converted into a regular character. So anything in your bags you should be using, make sure you use all your new toys, your mounts, things like that. Make sure they're actually used because they might get deleted when that character gets moved over. Make sure you're spending your bronze. If you have spare, you could pick up pets and things like this to sell in the future. So I would recommend jumping between your Remix characters and making sure they are prepared for moving them over to retail. The next thing before pre-patch is going to be M+. Now they have said specifically that Keystone Legend will be getting removed in the pre-patch. And with that, it's kind of safe-ish to assume that the entire season is just coming to an end. So the Keystone Master mount will be gone. The Keystone Conqueror title will be gone. The leaderboard stuff is officially ending as well, so if you're someone who wants to or is pushing for a M+ leaderboard title, this is your final couple of weeks to push. We do assume that M+ itself will stay around, so you're going to be able to continue to gear, and you might be able to still get the kind of teleports if you've not hit the Keystone level for that yet. But in terms of the actual seasonal rewards, it does seem like this is the end of the season. Although do keep in mind though, they haven't specifically and officially confirmed that the Keystone Master mount is being removed, but I would say it's better to get it now in case it does get removed. For raiding, this is the last chance for you to get the Mana Forge Ahead of the Curve achievement, which requires you to kill the last boss on Heroic, and also Cutting Edge for doing Mythic as well. However, the Royal Voidwing mount will be sticking around until the end of the expansion, so you've still got a little bit of extra time to get that if you haven't cleared through Heroic yet. Next up, we have Delve related stuff to talk about. So there's a few things to mention that you might want to consider here too, but first of all, the Delver season is going to be coming to an end, so if you're working on the kind of progression tree in the Delver stuff, then you will want to get that done before pre-patch. You will also want to pick up the Delver's Mana Skimmer from Bran in Donogal. It's a very short questline if you haven't done it already, and there's a good chance this is removed in pre-patch too. In terms of undercoins, those will get reset at some point, but that does not seem like it's going to happen in pre-patch, so you do have a little bit more time to spend your coins, hopefully, but you will want to spend them before the end of the expansion. And then you have the Delver Nemesis as well, which is Kaiveza, and this is going to be still available in the future, but the unique rewards for doing it solo, getting the skin, the title, things like that will be going away in pre-patch. So if you want to go tackle that now, try and get as much gear as you can, go into that fight and get that done before pre-patch launches. It's also worth quickly mentioning as well that the Glory of the Delver achievement might be worth trying to do now, especially before Midnight launches, because on the Midnight beta it is currently incompletable. And I don't know if that's intentional or not, because the achievement itself has been reworked. It wants you to kill the 3 different nemesises, which should be still doable. It doesn't seem to want them to be done in the specific seasons anymore. However, it isn't actually possible to fight the nemesises. You can't progress the Delver rank anymore from above tier 4, and you need to get to tier 7 to fight the Nemesis, so you're not able to complete it. Whether that's a bug, whether it's intended, who knows, but it might be a bug that stays around for a very long time, so I definitely would try and knock out the Glory of the Delver achievements now, before you can't do them in the future. Next up is PvP. The PvP season is coming into an end in the pre-patch as well, which does mean you won't be able to get the Astral Gladiator mount, you won't be able to get the title, you're not going to be able to get the general PvP titles either, like Gladiator, stuff like that. You're not going to be able to get the Weapon Illusion at 2.1k, you're not going to be able to get the Elite sets anymore, So all of this stuff is going away. So if you're someone who's pushing for PvP, once again, this is your last time to push. You've got less than 2 weeks to get that done. So good luck, and hopefully you can get the rewards that you want from that. However, the Vicious saddles will still be obtainable. So you will still be able to progress towards getting the Vicious Void Creeper, and you will be able to continue past that to be able to get the Vicious saddles to be able to purchase the previous mounts too. You just won't be able to get these specific Season 3 rewards. The final thing before pre-patch is one that you probably didn't expect, but it's to prepare your UI, because your UI is probably going to absolutely die once pre-patch launches because of all the add-on changes. So you want to kind of think ahead of what you need to be doing before pre-patch to get your UI ready. If you need to swap to something else, if the devs of whatever add-ons you're using are saying that your add-ons are going to continue, or if you need to start looking for alternatives. On top of that as well, things like weak auras are just going to completely die. So if there was anything you were planning to do that required a weak aura, something you were going to use like a specific challenge or a secret mount or something like that that needed a weak aura to make it easier, it might be worth considering doing that stuff now, because once weak auras are gone, you're not going to have that tool anymore, and it might be a little bit more tricky or annoying to get those things done. Next up, let's talk about what you need to do before Midnight launches itself, which is going to launch the early access at the end of February and the main launch being the 2nd of March or the 3rd of March, I believe. So you've got until that time roughly to get this stuff done. As mentioned earlier, the Royal Voidwing mount will be available until Midnight launch, so you've got a few extra weeks to get that done if you haven't already. You just need to go and kill the last boss of Mana Forge on Heroic at least, and you will get yourself that mount. You might also want to consider trying to do the previous 2 raids on Mythic, because currently the mounts drop on 100% drop chance for multiple people, so this is going to be your best chance at getting these mounts. Later on the line, once Midnight launches, they'll become a much lower drop chance, making it very, very difficult to get your hands on them. So if you are interested in them, especially the Big G, very, very cool looking mount. If you want that, you want to try and go plug Mythic Gallywix and try and get yourself that mount before it does launch. Next up is Turbulent Timeways. This is going to be your last week to kind of do it naturally. So if you watch this video this week and you haven't started Turbulent Timeways yet, it's not too late. You can go do your 4 dungeons, get your buff, and then keep that character kind of aside. Do 1 dungeon each week, and if you do it all the way until the last week, you will get enough weeks to get the voucher to pick up one of the 4 bronze like Shadowlands revamped mounts. However, if you're watching this after this week, it isn't technically too late. You can still cheese this achievement using the WoW like Blizzard account trials. So you'll go to your Battle.net and you can create multiple WoW account trials, and this allows you to log in, create characters. You can make low-level characters. You can queue yourself up with all your characters, you'll kind of boost yourself, and then once you've done 4 dungeons, all of those characters will get their own progression towards the achievement, allowing you to complete the achievement very, very quickly. Next up is Brawler's Guild. If you haven't touched that yet, then it looks like you have until the end of midnight, because currently on the midnight beta, all the NPCs are kind of gone for you to queue up. The rewards are removed from the vendor. This could be just an issue between retail and beta, but it could be that also the Brawler's Guild is just going away. So it would be wise to kind of get your Brawler's Guild stuff done now, get to max rank, purchase all your items, your decor, your mounts, things like that from the vendor before it's potentially gone until the next time it returns in the future. Similar with the return in Horrific Visions, currently on the beta, the NPC to start the Horrific Visions is completely gone. So you're not able to unlock it, you're not able to access it. The only thing that's still there is the vendors to purchase stuff. So if you have some leftover currency, you can still use that. But it does look like Horrific Visions are going to be completely removed. So it would be wise to knock out the different mount drops. There's like a bunch of mounts you can get from it, a bunch of transmogs, a bunch of different rewards and titles and stuff. So if you haven't touched Horrific Visions yet, it's probably a good time to do it, especially if you've been playing actively in Season 3. You probably have enough gear to just overpower the Horrific Visions, making it a ton easier to get like 8 mask runs, things like this done. So it's worth looking at if you haven't got those rewards. I'd definitely look to get that done before the end of the expansion. And then you'll also have the pre-patch event. Obviously watching this now, it's not live yet, but once the pre-patch comes, there will be a pre-patch event, which is going to give you some new goodies. There's going to be 2 mounts, I believe, available. There's going to be a bunch of stuff from that. So you will want to knock out all of the rewards and stuff before they're removed. So make sure you're completing the pre-patch event as much as possible. And typically this is a good chance to gear your characters up as well if you've got any kind of alts that are not very geared. This is usually a good way of kind of catching them up a bit and getting them ready for the expansion. Finally, is stuff that you should consider doing before the end of the expansion. It's not something you have to do, but it's things that should be kind of on your mind. First of all, you could consider setting yourself up for a Void Elf Devourer Demon Hunter if that's something you're looking to play in the pre-patch, as that's when both of those things will become available. And there's actually quite a few things you can prepare for this already. First of all, if you don't have Void Elves unlocked at all, you want to go and do the Emissary quest in Stormwind to get that done. And then you can also do the prerequisite quest chain in Koresh, which is a common cause, and this is going to give you the prerequisites to have a Void Elf Demon Hunter, I do believe when the pre-patch comes, there will be an additional quest line that will pop up too for you to go through. But once all of that is done, it allows you to start leveling and gearing a Void Elf Demon Hunter ready for the next expansion, Midnight. But you can also work on some of the gear now too. Like for example, you can swap Valor Stones into caches to give to the character. You could be finding some BOE gear to give to the character. You could be buying some off the auction house. Whatever it is, you can start kind of doing a little bit of prep work as well, so that the character isn't completely weak when it hits max level, and so you're able to kind of get into higher end content a little bit faster. Before Midnight launches as well, there's a few gear things you should consider. You know, upgrade your gear, get rid of any kind of spare Valor Stones and crests and things like that to get your gear as high as possible before that comes. Also, you can upgrade heroic gear to 5 of 8 to turn it into a Mythic Transmog piece. So if you're looking to have the full Mythic set but don't want to step foot in Mythic content, then you can do that with the heroic gear now. But once we move into Midnight, you won't be able to upgrade that gear anymore, meaning you won't be able to turn Heroic into Mythic. So keep that in mind for what you want to do there. And then a final couple of things I could think of to touch on that might be a little bit more annoying moving into Midnight. First of all is All Mole Rufus. This is a rare that requires multiple people in the Ringing Deeps, and there might just not be as many people doing it, especially as time goes on. More people will get the mount, and less people are going to be interested in summoning it. So trying to get that out of the way now while there's still people kind of flying around these zones might be your best bet at getting that mount. Similar in Undermine as well with the Galagio Garbage. Getting that bar completed to get the rare to spawn, to get the potential mount drop from that rare, is going to be a lot more annoying when you're doing that on your own in the future potentially. There might be some people still knocking around, but it's once again better to do it while there's more people still in these zones instead of the future where there's going to be a lot less. So there you go. That is a big old list of stuff for you to be working towards if you want to get everything finished that's important. And that is a big list. You don't really have that much time left either. There's about 6-7 weeks until the expansion launches, and players have a ton of things that are on a timer. But hopefully this video helped you organize what you want to focus on and get done before the pre-patch and Midnight launches. Outside of that, look out for more videos, guides, and all that good stuff coming soon. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.